spring and another vlog. I think first day, it's Wednesday, and first day of spring was last Sunday, I think. That's the day we set our clocks forward. Been busy. It's been a little over a week since I got done with the 12-foot skeleton project, which you saw, or should have seen by now. I do have a small announcement when it comes to the 12-foot skeleton. West Coast Haunters Convention in Portland. It's mid-May, I think the 13th, 14th, and 15th of May. My 12-foot skeleton is going to be there. I'm donating the use of it for the con, to kind of help out the con. It's going to be set up near where registration is in the lobby all weekend long. And we're going to use it as a photo op. So you can go in and get your picture taken with my 12-foot skelly. And maybe me if I'm hoofing around down in there somewhere. And also, in regards to West Coast Haunters Convention, I will be teaching a class on Saturday at 1:30. Let's see, that is the 14th, May 14th. So check out their website. The class is listed there. It's a make and take class. I'm going to be doing the my little low voltage power bars. Everyone that takes the class will have a working power bar, and the tools and equipment needed to make one. So, you got that going on, and I think that's it for West Coast. But anyway, the last 5-6 days, I've been working on some maintenance projects. I've still had a few. We started out with these. These are some of my bases I use for my fence panel. I put a 2x2 in the pipe here. It sticks up and I attach my fencing to it. For the fencing that goes on the driveway. When I made those last year, I had two where the welds just were not holding. The pipe kept breaking off. And I finally talked to my neighbor who welded up the heads for me, and we were talking about it. And I didn't have the heat up high enough. That was causing the problem. So anyway, the parts for those have been sitting in here. So I got those welded, got them painted, didn't take long. Now this is the mech for my obelisk tombstone that I have. And during the haunt, the obelisk stopped turning. And I didn't mess with it. I just let it be a static prop for the rest of the time the haunt was open. But I did get to looking at the motor, and the motor's working fine. It was just this part here was not turning. And come to find out, the bolt inside that holds this onto the motor had come loose. So all I had to do was tighten that back down. That was a quick project. Then, when I was taking the haunt down, that's the legs for the hammer and clown. When I went to take the chest piece off, and the chest piece fits into these two tubes here and then sticks up, this actually came off the legs. The welds had broken finally, which explained why during the haunt, the top, which has a pneumatic on it, was wobbling back and forth a lot. And I was wondering about that. That's because the welds had broke. So I got that re-welded. Not the neatest job in the world, but it's re-welded. So there's 3 projects. Now, something that's going to be debuting at the costume ball at West Coast. Anton Thrall, the owner of the Menagerie, which is what my haunt's storyline is based out of. It happens to be me. I am Anton Thrall, the owner of the Menagerie. He's getting an upgrade. Sue has spent about a week. We've designed a totally brand new full-length cloak. And she got that put together for me. She's the seamstress, not me. And then the other thing, if you remember, I had a staff with a skull on top of it. That got broken here before last. So Igor is no more. That's why I called the head on that staff. So it was time for a new staff. And this took me a couple of days to make. I know you really can't see it all that much, but it does have one of those solar powered flame lights on it, which does work when it gets darker. It won't work now because it's too bright. So I'll be walking around with this. And we'll be debuting the costume at West Coast during the costume ball on Saturday. So I'll give you a little bit better look here of that. So those are the 4 projects I have gotten done since I got the Big Skelly done. I didn't vlog them. Probably should have vlogged the staff because that was interesting to make and it was a mess, but I'm not too worried about it. I do want to say a big thank you and a shout out to Alan Hops in Stoke Beast Studio. I used one of his techniques on the staff, and it worked great. It was just messy as hell. Some of Alan's stuff is very messy. But anyway, that's what I've been working on. Now my next major project, which I am going to vlog, has to do with the wire heads. It's time to work on those. I did get out into the storage locker, and I got the mix out. This small one here is the mech for my jumping spider, which is getting the smaller wire head to it. And here we'll set that down there like that. And this one, I don't have the pneumatic cylinder on it, is the mech for my old attack spider, that huge spider I made. And it goes on right there. And it slides out. I have got, my first step before I can actually do anything with the heads, is I've got to create some sort of bracket on here so I can attach the heads. And the heads will be attached to the bracket, so it'll be real easy. I just put the head on, run 4 screws through on the corners, and it's attached, and I can take it off. I gotta come up with a bracket on here in order to get that spider, or not spider, but that snake head on. And I gotta do the same thing with that one. So, gonna be interesting. Well, thought it was time I better shoot a clip. I've been out here, it's been a couple of days since I shot the last scene. I've been out here monkeying around. I went on both mechs and made a plate to go on the mounting bracket. This is the old attack spider, it just lunges in and out. But I got 2 plates, one for that one and one for the jumping spider. And then I got the heads out yesterday and got the cones mounted on both heads. Today I've been trying to get this mech done, and it is for the most part at this point done. I do have, it's mounted to the plate and the plate's mounted to the mech. I've got the cone on attached to the head, and Swan and I were talking, and the friend that helped me with the welding on the heads also suggested doing some sort of support to help support the head. These cones, only aluminum. They're very thin, very weak, and with the mech bouncing up and down or sliding back and forth, and the weight of the heads, those things are going to tear. So what I ended up doing is I got some more metal stock, and it runs back and attaches on the inside of the cone to the base, so it's nice and rock hard. It ain't going to go nowhere. And that'll help protect it. But that's what that mech looks like down. And that's what it looks like in the up position. So it does come up pretty high. It's just a little over 3 feet, almost 4 feet up. Now, with the body here, and that's just the guts of the body, we've got, we're going to do some work on that to make it look like a snake skin. But with this movement going up and down, I was afraid if the body rested here up on top, it would eventually, with all the bouncing up and down it would do, it would get pinched and wear a hole into the fabric and everything. So I built a little bit of a guard here for the body to ride in. It will keep it off the mechanics on the mech and allow it to pop up and down. I don't know if I'm going to do another brace here or not, because it is rubbing there, but I think it'll be okay, especially if I pad it a bit. But for right now, this mech is totally done as far as I can go with it. The next job is to actually start fleshing out the head. And I will do that a bit later. Right now, I've got to get that head and this mech to this point. And it's going to take a day or two. I've got to basically repeat what I did as far as the bracing and everything in there. And that takes a little bit of time. Okay, the other mech's done. Now, with this one here, I ended up putting in another guard. And it was more like a guard plate than a hoop like I did on that one. With this one, the body, in fact the movement on this, it comes out to about like that. It's an 8-inch travel. So what I wanted to do was create a plate here that would allow the body to ride along the side without rubbing or catching on anything. So I just took a piece of piping, aluminum piping. They use it for ducting and stuff like that in the house. And I cut off a section, flattened it out, and attached it. And then the body actually rides in that. And once Sue-Ann gets done making the outside part of it, we'll zip tie the body to the plate so it's not binding on anything. And we'll slide back and forth. So now I'm ready. I gotta get in here and take this apart. I gotta get that plate loose so the head's free and that's free. And I gotta get the plate loose on that one. That will free up the head too, and I can put the hosing away because we won't need that until Sue-Ann goes and does the bodies. But all the metal pieces, I need to come in with some black paint. And we're going to get everything sprayed black. It could dry overnight. And then tomorrow, we can start prepping the heads for actually fleshing them out. Make them look more like steaks. Hopefully. Because that's what I'm shooting for. Whether it's going to turn out that way or not is another story. I have no idea how long it's going to take. But I've been at this for about 4 days now, 5 actually, just to get them to this point. I'm pretty sure the fleshing out is going to take a while. I've been out in the shop most of the morning. It's now going on a little after 2. Been working and experimenting with starting to flesh these out. I'm putting the backer on now, and I'm working on the lower jaw. This is the one that bounces up and down. Got the inner piece done. I still have, I'll just turn it like that and make it easier. I still have this side to do, and I need to wrap it around the lips. Now what I'm using is window screen to flesh it out. And I'm using some heavier screen to do some ridges and stuff on here. You can see the window screen there. This stuff here, I'm using in here to help hold the screen up off the bars a bit to kind of flesh it out. And it takes some time. It takes a lot of cutting, a lot of fitting, and then also I probably should be wearing gloves because my hands are getting all nicked up from the sharp edges on the screening and the and stuff. But I'm finding if I wear gloves, then I can't feel very good. The thing I can't feel through my fingers, so I'm opting not to use gloves. But anyway, I've got to go over the whole head with that stuff to get it fleshed out. And then we'll move on to the next step, which is actually a little bit of sculpting on them. And I'll cover that when I get to that point. But right now, we're just starting to flesh things out. It's been about 4 days since I started stage 1 of the skinning process, which was getting the mesh on the heads. I've got one done. I just finished it. This is my jumper. But we got the mesh on, and I used a bunch, and I do mean a bunch, of little zip ties to hold the mesh on. And you won't see them because the skinning compound I'm going to use will totally cover those, so you won't see them. But I've got the jumper done. I like how the sails have turned out. The head, this top piece here, was the last piece I did. I just got it finished, and I figured, okay, I want to see what it looks like with the eyeballs in, so I put the eyeballs in. They're just 2 ping pong balls, which I've got to mount an LED to so they'll light up. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But everything, as far as the skinning process on that head is done, except for the tongue, which I'm going to have to attach back there and bring it out so it sticks out. I am not sure how I am going to do the tongue yet. I haven't gotten to that point. I figure I'm going to wait until I get this head done, which I've got to get to that point on. I got to get the mesh on, the eyeballs on, and then go from there. And I have no idea what this is going to look like. So, but I'll be starting on that tomorrow. But hey, we got one head done at least. Oh, more progress made. We're getting closer to putting the skinning compound on. I've got the wire mesh on both heads done. This is the one that goes on the old jumping spider, the one that bobs up and down. And then this one will go on the attack spider. And that one slides in and out. That one I'm going to coat as is. This one I'm thinking about trying to maybe doing some spikes along the ridge here with the compound. Small spikes, not large ones. But before I could go any further, I've got two other pieces I need to make, and that's the tongue for both of them. And what I'm going to end up doing is I started already on one with some wire. This will be sticking out the back of the head. It'll come out here, and I'll just wrap it around there to secure it, and it will stick through the back of the throat back here. And then I'm going to take some screen material and cut out a tongue shape that this will fit into and secure to. That way the tongue will stick out in the air. And as these things move, the tongue should bounce up and down and wiggle and everything else. That's the effect I'm going for. But it's going to be kind of a trial and error type thing. Right now I'm just trying to get the wire cut to the length I need so I can go over and get the mesh material on. Hopefully we'll have this done today. Or the mesh. A little bit more progress made. I was able to get 2 tongues made. Now what I did is I took some baling wire and I went and doubled it over, twisted this part here up to the base of the tongue. That's the part that's going to stick from the back of the mouth out back here. I'm going to anchor it right there. And then on the front end, I forked it and then cut some wire mesh, and it's just basically screen door mesh, and folded it over. And then zip tied it on. Now, once these are attached, I'm going to go ahead and temporarily attach them now with that wire in there. I'll be able to bend. I can either leave them straight like they are, or I can bend them in a whoop-de-doo, you know, snaking out of the mouth if I want. And then apply the compound, and I'll lock them into place. I'm not exactly sure how I am going to do each tongue. You know, as far as being straight out or whoop-de-dooed or what have you. I'll do that after I get them in. But I'm going to do a temporary fit in here now. We'll give you a shot of that here in just a sec. Okay, next day. We're ready to start skinning the heads. And last night I decided to practice a little bit on one of the tongues. And what I am using to do my skinning is something I've been seeing on TV. I wanted to give it a try. It's called Flex Paste. They have a whole series of different compounds that you can get from them. Sprays and paints and this paste. When you apply them, they dry to a rubber type coating. You're using to stop leaks. And I got to thinking, the heads are going to be out in the weather. They're going to be under some movement and what have you. And I didn't want to do just latex. I've never worked with latex. Then again, I've never worked with this stuff either. So anyway, I went down and I bought 3 containers of this stuff. $30 a container, and it is 3 pounds of the stuff. Last night I went and started doing one of the tongues, and you apply it with a trowel or a spatula. The stuff is a pain in the ass to work with. It is a paste, but it's a very almost like gummy type of paste. It's very sticky. It's hard to work with. So I'm glad I tried it on the tongue first. It's almost impossible to mold fine detail with it. But I gotta get back in here. I ended up quitting right about here. So when I first applied it, it was so wet, the tongue was wanting to droop, and I was having trouble, trying to get the paste on there without getting the paste all over everything. So I stopped there. I'm going to come in this morning, I'm going to get this finished, set it off to the side, let it set up, and then I think I'm going to come back through and I'm going to give it a second coat of the stuff. I cannot apply it very thick on this, so everything's going to need 2 or 3 coats of the stuff. Then I can come back through, hopefully, and by the feel of it, I should be able to sand this down once it's all the way dry, and try to get a little bit of shape in through with sanding. On the heads, when I go to do the heads, once I can get to the final coat on them, because those are going to need 2 coats as well, I'm going to try using this little thing. It's a nut picker. And I'm going to use this to try to sketch in some detail work on stuff too. But the heads are going to need a lot of sanding as well. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll try to use that pick to scratch in detail work, or if I'll just do it all with paint. I might just do it with paint. I don't know. But I think this stuff is going to work. It's just going to require a lot of different coats and a lot of sanding and shaping. By the feel of it, this is almost all the way dry, and I'm still able to flex the tongue a little bit, so it's going to be interesting. Okay, a little mini project update. I did get started on the second tongue, and I had the same problem like I did the first. The thing was just getting too heavy. So I stopped. I'm going to let it dry, and I'll finish it out. They're both going to need a second coat, I think, of the stuff. I'm building it up little by little. But they're turning out okay. They're going to need some sanding and what have you with them. And I'll get to that point once they're dry. And I'm done putting stuff on them. I was going to get started doing the first head. And I got to thinking that compound, this Flex Paste, is just way, way too gooey to do the teeth. I'd have a heck of a mess trying to do that. So I got to thinking, what could I do for the teeth? Answer. I went down to Michael's, picked up some stuff. Originally went in for this. It's a air dry clay. And I can actually make the teeth to go on there and then cover it with that compound to give it a more of a protective finish. At least that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, I'm going to use this for doing the teeth when I get to the point for doing the teeth. But while I was down there, I got to thinking, the paintbrushes I use, I've had for years, they're getting ratty. They need to be tossed and thrown out. So I picked up a bunch of new, detailing paintbrushes and stuff. So I've got those. But I also got to thinking, my putty knife I'm using is a little big for getting inside the mouth. It'd be nice to have something a little smaller. And I found some tongue depressors. And they call them craft sticks, but what they are is tongue depressors. So I picked up a packet of those. And while I was walking around going over to get the paintbrushes, I found something even better. I found these. They're metal trowels with a wood handle. Those would work really good, I was thinking. So anyway, the little trowels come in 5 different shapes and sizes. So I went and bought them. I bought the tongue depressors as well. And we're going to give them a try doing the head. I think it'll be a lot easier than trying to use this, which is just a putty knife. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I've got that. We're going to give them a try on it and see how things... Okay, mid-project update here. I am still working with the flex paste. I've got all the coats on the tongues I need. And it is drying in a rubber base, but it's flexible. Once I put wire in here so I can bend the tongues, I can still bend the tongues. But it is a pain in the ass to work with. I've gone through almost 2 full containers, and I've gotten the tongues done, and I just finished up 1 head. The stuff is kind of like a very sticky, gummy joint compound. It's extremely hard to work with. I'm not going to be able to do any fine details with this stuff at all. It's just too big of a mess. Like on this guy here, I'm supposed to have a ridge around the jaws, both the bottom and the upper. I'm not going to be able to do it with the flex paste. So I mentioned last segment, I went down and bought some modeling clay, air dry clay, to do the teeth. I think I am also going to use it to do any ridge work around the lips on both of them, or around the eye ridges, or if I want to do any horns, and then come back with some of the flex paste and go over it to help cement them into place. But for right now, I'm done with the tongues. They're ready for sanding and shaping. Okay, the head here, I've gotten 1 coat on, and you can kind of tell there are these little bumps here. Those are the heads of the zip ties. I need this stuff thick enough to cover those zip ties. I'm going to have to do a second coat. One thing I am noticing with using the wire mesh, as I'm spreading the first coat on, a lot of it is pushing through the wire mesh into the center of this. That's one reason why I'm ending up using so much. And I'm going to have the same problem with that head over there. When I go to do second coat, I should be able to get it to the thickness I want on here. But I am going to need to come back and do a lot of hand sanding on these to get it to look smooth. Because there's just no way in hell I'm going to be able to get all my putty marks and stuff out of there while I'm applying it. This stuff is just too gummy, too sticky for that. But anyway, I just finished doing the top part of this head. It is looking different with the coating on it. You can't see through it now. So, a lot of work to go. I gotta get first coat on that head, let them dry for a day, and then I can come back through and put a second coat on and let it dry. And then we'll go from there. Okay, ran into a bit of a problem. I've gone through, got the tongues and both heads with their skin coat on. That basically goes through and seals up the wires so the compound won't keep pushing through the wiring. Basically a rough coat. I'm ready to do my final coat on here, and I ran into a problem. This stuff is white. The second coat is also white, and I tried doing a little bit on this guy. I could not tell where I had put stuff. I was making a mess out of it. So I decided to use an old automotive trick I've seen them do on TV. when they're body working a car, getting all the dents and the dings out and stuff, they'll go through, put filler in there, sand it smooth, and then come back through, they'll shoot a coat of primer over the vehicle, and then check again for high spots, and then go back through and, sand them down, and then reprimer the car and paint it. And I got to thinking that technique would work perfect for this. Since the compound is white, and I can't tell where I have put new stuff on it, because it's blending right into the stuff that's already on there, I decided I'm going to spray them black. And I'll let them sit overnight and dry, and then tomorrow I can come out and start put on new compound. And any place that's black will get compound, and I'll be able to see what the hell I'm doing. So I'm doing that, but I do have both heads with a rough coat on. I still need to go through and clean them up and stuff, and I'll do that after I get the second coat on. Then we can move on to the next stage. Well, we got skinning done, finally. We use that Flex Paste. Showed you that in the last segment, I do believe. And it turns out really good. It does really do a good rubberized job on it. But anyway, now that these are at this stage, our next part of the project is detailing. And our first detail, it's going to be these here. These are the eyes. They're simply a ping pong ball that I went and mounted a red LED to. And when they're hooked up to power, the eyes, or the ping pong balls, glow red. And during the paint process, I'll get in here, I'll paint iris and stuff on them. But before I can start doing any other detail work, I need to get these installed into their sockets, get the wiring and stuff straightened out, and go from there. Well, there you go. Eyes are in. And they do pop out. You have to use a toothpick or something in there to kind of pry it out. So what I'm going to do to lock them into place is, here, let me get the overhead light on. And that's our next step as soon as I get them de-hooked and the wires rolled up, is I went down and bought some air dry clay. I think I showed this earlier in the vlog. Down at Michael's. And it's a 2-pound brick. And I picked up 2 bricks of it, so that should be more than enough. But to hold the eyes in, I'm going to do a ridge line of clay over the eye here and on here with this. And I might pack a little bit in on the seams too around the eye. With this guy, the whole eyebrow will be getting clay to build it up. And I've also, on this one here, I've got the teeth to do, and I've got the lips to do, and around the sails to do with clay. On this guy, I got the eyes, which I just talked about, the upper and lower lip, plus the teeth, and then I'm thinking about doing some horns up here on the head as well. I haven't fully decided yet. So, I don't know, I might start that one first, or I might say the hell with it and start this one first. Either way, I need to start one of them to get this project done. Another milestone reached. I am done with this part. The heads are now officially ready for paint. And you notice I got the ping pong balls in, all lit up. And they are working. I do not have the tongues in. Tongues, where the heck did I put the tongues? Oh, tongues are over here. I didn't feel like putting them back in, just have to take them back out. You'll see these things with their tongues in later, after painting's done. But everything's done, it's ready for paint. So I've got to clean up in here in the shop a little bit, and then we're going to do that. We're going to go right into painting. Progress made. Heads are officially done. Just finished. They need to dry overnight. There's some wet spots. So there we go. Gives you a look. And if you're paying attention to the Instagram and Facebook, you will have seen the pictures of these. And the pictures are a little bit better than my video work. So, okay. Next step, I need to get these mounted to their mechs and then bring the bodies out and start working with the bodies for them. And then we'll be doing some testing with them too. I'm not sure how much of that you're going to see, but we are making progress now. Should go real quick. The heads took a while, a lot of stages to it. So let's see how much more in this vlog we're going to get for you. Well, we're at the end of the vlog. Snakes are done, and we got a prancing Kaylee out here who's not liking it when I fire them off. So far, I'm basically at the end of the vlog. I still have a little bit more work. I'm doing some testing with the pneumatics. So far, I've got this one pretty much dialed in. I haven't tried that one yet. But we got the bodies on and then mounted to the mechs. Now, this one is the old attack spider, and the head just slides forward and back on it. And that's my jumper. It jumps up and down. Slowly, but it jumps up and down. The attack spider, or not the attack spider, but the jumping spider I had popping up real quick. This one, I'm not doing that with because I'm afraid I'm going to shake the head apart. So I've got going a little bit slower, but it still looks neat. But I do need to do a little bit of testing with these, and after the testing's done, I'm going to set the camera up in the tripod, and I'm going to do a reveal video for both snakes. And you'll be able to see them, and that will be a separate video. But for right now, I'm calling the project done. So I guess that's going to be it on the snake project. A little bit of a kibitz, a little bit of advertising ahead of time. West Coast Hunters Convention, May 13th, 14th, and 15th. My Haunted Treasures, all my lighting and stuff, we are not going to be vending this year at West Coast. I am going to be there though for two reasons. One, I'm teaching a class on Saturday, and there's details on the West Coast Hunters Convention website. It's a Saturday afternoon class. And also, I've been asked to bring my 12-foot Skelly, well, what started out to be my 12-foot Skelly, and has turned into a display. And the snakes are going to be there, but in static form only. The display is going to be set up in the lobby of the hotel, so I can't have an air compressor or anything running in there. But they'll be set up static, and I'll have their eyes working, along with a few other things. And it seems like the more I go to prep and stuff for West Coast, the more I'm adding to it. It all depends on how much room I have in that truck, because everything's got to fit in the truck. I'm not taking the trailer this year. But anyway, if you're going to be at West Coast, you'll have a chance to see the snakes in person. So come on down and sign up for my class. It'll be a hoot. I'm a crappy teacher, but it ought to be comical. You can haze me a little bit while I'm trying to teach. So, but anyway, with that, I'm going to say stay spooky, stay toxic.